Welcome friends, thank you for subscribing and liking my videos. Today's video will be a walk and talk, and we'll talk about maintenance assessment increases for some of the residents that live in the southern part of the villages. Here I'm standing at the Lakeshore Cottages near Lake Sumter Landing, and I'll be walking and showing you some of these cottage homes in this very exclusive neighborhood. I hope you enjoy the tour. Welcome friends, thank you for joining, thank you for subscribing. I'm showing you the swimming pool here at the Lakeshore Cottages. This is a very exclusive neighborhood that is located very close to Lake Sumter Landing. I think, in fact, you probably could hear the bands play from the square from this location. I wanted to do a walk and talk in the area and talk about maintenance assessment costs that are going up. I did read an article in the newspaper today that some of the residents that live in the southern part of the villages are going to experience double-digit maintenance assessment rate increases. And I wanted to talk to you a little bit about that while I was walking through this exclusive cottage neighborhood here near Lake Sumter Landing. Most of these homes are list priced at $750,000 and up. I believe there are only 2 homes for sale in this area. And I know one home is over $700,000 and the other home is over $1 million. So I wanted to talk to you about the maintenance assessment increases. I was reading a news article in the villagesnews.com, and some of the residents are upset about the proposed maintenance assessment increases. So the Villages Administration Office is located here in Lake Sumter Landing, and they are in charge of putting together an annual budget, and that annual budget affects the maintenance assessment costs. So they look into the future and they try to anticipate what the costs to maintain the villages will be, and they put together a budget, and the fiscal year for that budget runs from October 1st through September 30th. So they are in the process of presenting budgets to the district boards. And if you didn't realize, the Villages is comprised of many different districts, and each district has its own board that supervises their budget. And typically they meet monthly to discuss various concerns that are going on within their district. So some of the districts in the south, namely District 12, District 13, District 14, and Middleton District, have recently been proposed a new budget that involves an increase to maintenance costs. Those are the costs to maintain the common areas of that particular district. A district is a group of homes. It is a community development district. I spoke a little bit about that. It's a form of government that's governed under the rules of state statute 190 here in the state of Florida. You can look it up. But that's how the Villages is organized. They build homes. They form a district for those homes, and then they develop a governmental board that oversees the budget in that district. So in District 12, that includes the Fenny area in the southern part of the Villages. The budget is proposing an 8% increase in the maintenance costs. Those maintenance costs, remember, are non-ad valorem costs that show up on the property tax bill. You pay it once a year. You pay it to the county, and then the county passes it through back to the villages. But the villages are the folks that are responsible to determine what those maintenance costs are. So in District 12 in the Fenney area, they're proposing an 8% increase in those maintenance costs. In District 13, that is the area that would include Chitty Chatty and Bradford, the villages of Chitty Chatty and Bradford, they're proposing a 15% increase in maintenance costs. In District 14, they are proposing a 56% increase in maintenance costs. District 14 would include the areas of Lake Denham, Dabney, and Newell. So some of you might wonder why the maintenance costs in those areas are going up. And part of the reason is there are fewer residents in those areas, and there's a larger amount of acreage that they have to maintain in those areas. There's a lot more retention ponds and wetlands located in the southern part of the villages. And those drainage ponds and those retention ponds and wetlands, they need to be maintained. There are costs that go into those areas. They have to, for instance, they have to cut the weeds, they have to mow the lawns around them. And there are far more retention ponds in those areas. Also, there is maintenance on those retention ponds. Maybe there might be damage to those retention ponds due to high rains. There might be sinkholes in and around those retention ponds. So there's a lot of costs that go into maintaining retention ponds and wetlands here in the villages. So they anticipate what those costs might be based on costs that occurred in other parts of the villages. And because they have a lot more common areas in those districts, the villages is forecasting higher costs in addition to the inflation. Inflation does not help the matter either. So the village's budget department put together a budget for those respective districts, and they put together the budget for all the districts, and they came up with a maintenance assessment increase that is quite large as a percentage from last year's maintenance costs. And like I said, that's primarily due to there's just more common areas to maintain down there, and there are fewer residents. If you look at the number of residents per acre in the southern part of the village, there's fewer residents per acre than there is in the middle section and the northern part of the villages. So those are the primary reasons why those maintenance assessment fees are going up considerably in the southern part of the villages. It is a very unique form of government that they have here. The villages is formed as community development districts, and the size of those districts, the number of people that can live in a district, is limited. That's why the villages builds these homes, and when they get to a certain size in terms of number of people or the number of acres, then they have to form a district under Florida State Statute 190, and then they form a government that oversees the budget for that district. So there's many districts. I believe there are more than 25 community development districts here that comprise of the villages. And they do hold monthly or bi-monthly board meetings. And I encourage all of you, when you move to the villages, to understand what district you live in and to attend those monthly or bi-monthly board meetings, because there's a lot of important things that are discussed in those meetings. They talk about deed compliance, whether to change some of the deed compliance restrictions, and some districts have agreed to change some of the deed restrictions in their village or in their district. That's why there are slight variations in deed restrictions between districts. So you have to be aware of the form of government and how decisions are made within your respective district. These homes are really nice. There's a lot of contractors working in this area. Lots of noise. It is a Monday morning here in the Villages. Again, thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. I do appreciate it. This neighborhood is called Lakeshore Cottages. It's really close to Lake Sumter Landing. It's within walking distance of Lake Sumter Landing. These are very special homes. They're called cottage homes. A lot of these homes are priced $750,000 and up. They're very unique, and there's only a couple of homes that are for sale in this neighborhood at this time. It's a very highly desirable neighborhood. I will try to do an open house video on one of these homes. I did ask a real estate agent a few weeks ago if I could do an open house video on one of these homes, and he declined my offer, which is fine. Maybe someday I will find an agent that will allow me to do an open house video on one of these homes. They do occasionally have these homes for sale, and they are open. So I just wanted to bring you the news that if you live in the southern part of the Villages, that your maintenance assessment fees are likely going to be going up. And I know I had a lot of comments on my recent videos about HOA fees and maintenance assessment fees going up. Here they named the homes a special model number. This is a Wyndham model of a cottage series home here in the Villages at the Lakeshore Cottages. These are very special homes. Very nice. It's a beautiful day here in the Villages. It's a Monday. It's going to be maybe 95 degrees Fahrenheit. Very humid. It's been a very warm summer here. And later on, I think I'm going to take a swim in the swimming pool over there. And that's the other thing I can mention is, as a resident of the Villages, you don't have to use your community pool. You can use any swimming pool anywhere in the Villages. Except there are swimming pools that are located at some of the country clubs that you need a membership fee for to use. So you cannot use all the swimming pools. There are some pools you cannot use if they're located at a country club. You need a membership. But most of these other swimming pools here in the Villages, Florida, you can use. You just need to know what the rules are. You also need to know if it's a community pool, if it's an adult pool, if it's a family pool, or if it's a sports pool. And they all have a little bit slightly different rules around them. There's a nice, beautiful home. The other thing I wanted to kind of talk about is the 55 plus theory. Most of these 55 plus communities in Florida are governed under a state statute here in Florida. And most of these 55 plus communities do allow for people that are less than 55 years old to live here. So don't be surprised if you come across some people living here that are below the age of 55, because I believe that the state statutes here in Florida allow for a certain percentage of people to live in these 55 plus communities that are below the age of 55. I think it's 20%. I think 20% of the residents can be below the age of 55. And it's up to the developer to keep track of that. So when you do buy a home, I believe they will ask you for your age. And they cannot allow a certain percentage of people to live here that are below the age of 55. I think it's 20%. The other thing I want to talk about is it a gated community? You see all these gates here in the Villages, Florida, and they go up and down. Just so you know, most of these gates, you don't need identification to get in. There is a red button that you can push to open the gate. So the question is this truly a gated community, or is this a community that has gates that you just need to push a button to get in? And the reason the Villages has set it up that you can push a button to get in is because these roads, at least the roads that are found in designer home communities and the rest of the Villages, not in the villa neighborhoods, not in the courtyard or the patio villa neighborhoods, but all those other roads are maintained by the county. They are public roads. So you cannot limit access to a public road. So the Villages set these gates up that anyone can have access to these roads because they're county maintained. They're public roads. So you cannot limit access to the public roads. Although they have the gates, they have a red button you can push to open the gate. And anybody from anywhere can come in to the Villages by just pushing the red button near the gate. So there is a common misconception that the Villages is a gated community, when in fact it's a community that has gates. And the community, most of the community roads are maintained by the county and are public. They're considered public roads. So here is a gate in this exclusive neighborhood, Lakeshore Cottages. You can see the gate. And all you have to do to get into this community is push that red button. That's all you have to do. Let's push the red button. And just like magic, the gate goes up. That's because these roads are public roads. They're considered to be public roads. Now, most of your 55 plus communities are private. It's private property. The roads are private. The roads are maintained by that community. So they can limit access. They can truly put a gate in there where you would need a password or a pass card or identification to get in and use it. But you can see all these contractors driving around here. They have easy access. They can get into these communities by just pushing the red button, because these roads are considered to be public roads. So I know I do meet a lot of people, and they're surprised to learn when they come here that these roads are actually public roads and that anyone has access to them. I will let you know that it's a very safe community. There is very little crime here, but on occasion there is crime. Usually that crime involves crimes of opportunity. I did speak to the local sheriff's department, and they say that most of the crime here in the villages is crimes of opportunity, meaning the crimes are somewhat easy crimes. For instance, you'll occasionally hear of a golf cart being stolen, and the golf cart is stolen because somebody left the key in it, or they left the golf cart sitting in a parking spot overnight. If you leave your golf cart at a parking spot near one of the squares, there is a chance that somebody will take it. Those are really most of the types of crimes. They're low-level theft kind of crimes that happen here in the villages. It's usually people that don't live here. They come to the square on a Friday or Saturday night, and they'll walk through the parking lot and they'll see a golf cart with the keys in it, and they'll just take the golf cart. So my advice to you, to anyone that lives here, is don't leave your keys in your golf cart if you're going to leave it sit overnight near the town square. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. This video is getting to be a little long, so I will end it, and I'll go swimming. I do appreciate it. Thanks for subscribing to my channel. Let me know in the comments what kind of content you'd like to see. I am doing a lot of open house videos. I'll try to sprinkle in different types of content as well, because I know not everybody is interested in buying a home here. But it is a beautiful community to live in. It's very safe. I just wanted to give everybody a heads up so they're not surprised when they get here to see that some of the costs are increasing, and you should know what you're buying into. Oh, there's a house for sale right across the street. That home is for sale. That home is for sale by the Villages Listing Service. And that's another thing we could talk about, is there's two ways, really. There's two major listing services here in the villages to buy a home. You have the Villages Listing Service. That is essentially a proprietary listing service that is owned and operated by the Villages Properties, and they list homes for sale. They do not really publish those homes on the multiple listing service, which is the other way you can buy a home. Most of the open house videos that I'm doing are with realtors that list on the multiple listing service. But there are a lot of homes that are listed through the Villages Listing Service, VLS. Those homes you will not see on websites like realtor.com or Zillow, because it's a proprietary listing service owned by the developer, essentially. And those homes are listed and sold by the Villages Property Services, and they are not part of the multiple listing service. So if you're looking at buying a home, you should really check two places. You need to check the multiple listing services, i.e. realtor.com, Zillow. You also need to check the Villages website, because they do have pre-owned homes for sale as well that you will not find on the multiple listing service. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. That swimming pool is calling me. I'm going to have a good time taking a swim today. Take care, everyone. Please leave comments. I do appreciate it. Have a good day. Thank you for watching this walk and talk video. I do appreciate it. Please subscribe and like my videos. Take care, everybody. Have a safe week.